Hey, I'm live here. This is Nasty Neal here at the station of Decapitation Without Your Head for the first episode of Daily Horror. So I've been recording a ton of interviews for Fantasia Festival, the upcoming Fright Fest Festival, some stuff for Shudder, some stuff for other festivals, and also have a lot of people that like to come on to promote their campaign, to promote their new movie, to promote a festival, whatever it is. So, in addition to our live Thursday show, which will be me and Troy, Tara Hutchinson, AJ, and Bill Whedon, and then guests, and then we take video calls. That's usually a longer show, like 3 or 4 hour show. In addition to those, I'm going to go live daily-ish, not every day, but almost every day when I have the time. And so it'll either be a pre-recorded interview like today, but it's the first time airing it, so it's new to you, or a live interview with somebody. So upcoming episodes, we've got Ginger Lynn, legendary adult film star, talking about her new film, which is not an adult film. Crispin Glover, a ton of people from Fantasia Fest, a lot of really cool people. Lloyd Kaufman of Troma. So a lot of these people will be coming up here on the Daily Horror Show. And then live Thursdays are our longer episodes. This week was really fun if you didn't watch it. So I've been making this puppet. Here's the back. See, it's actually not even sewn up on the back yet. But it's sewn almost all the way. But it's going to sew to the body. So anyway, it's my first time ever making a puppet. I even made the eyes movable so you can squint. You can open them. I'm very excited about this. So he was originally called Master Wog. And then somebody's like, Wog is a racial slur in England. So I was like, okay, we'll change it. So I changed him to Master Zog. And then someone else was like, that's a white supremacist term. I just assume that no matter what I call him, there will be somewhere in the world that's an offensive term. So I think I'm sticking with Zog. I think we're getting into the fringes of the world if people start telling me that I can't use Zog. But so anyway, so I was showing him on the show Wednesday. We got the body here. So people ain't know anything about puppets. This is a live hand. It's a little hard to do just me here in the video. So with the live hand, that is like the Cookie Monster or the Swedish Chef. So it can be, it's actually like a glove. And then this arm is a puppet arm with armature wire, so it can bend. It's posable. The fingers are posable. Right now, the fingers kind of look like just fur balls because they're not trimmed up. I might actually keep them like that because I like it. And then the head goes on here. Next up, I made them out of foam already, is the legs and the feet. That will be next. Actually goes this way. It's kind of built in a knee right there. These will be covered in fur. We're going to use a heavy gauge armature wire, so they will also be posable. Now on the show, Tara, she was like, you should make a penis for the puppet. And I was like, whoa. So I don't know. Then it became a big discussion, which I should clip. Me, AJ, and Tara talking about if the puppet should have a penis. And then there was a big discussion if it does have a penis, or I assume he at that point, if it has a penis, should it be furry like the rest of him, or felt like his lips? Let's see, so his whole body, everything is very furry except for his eyelids and his lips his lip is felt on the inside of his mouth. But I think if it's furry, it's just going to look like a fur dangling there. So I think if he does have a penis, it should be felt so you could tell what it is. I never thought so much about a puppet penis before, but there's a lot of in and outs of no pun intended, of a penis puppet or puppet penis. I don't know. Either way. So then I'm thinking, if I do make that, Then you put what am I going to use the armature wire inside the penis? Because then like he's flaccid, maybe he gets excited. You could bend it. I don't know. I'm in agreement with Deft here. Puppets don't have penises, but if the world demands it, if the world demands Master Zog has a penis, Shannon Wallen, he's plus, he is into it. Maybe it could even be a perk on the Indiegogo when we launch the campaign to fund the movie for a certain amount. Someone could actually buy the penis, because I think if I make it so it's got to be felt so it looks like you could tell what it is. If he has pubes, it would have to be a different color than the green, so it stands out. There's a lot of things that are involved in here. So if we do, and I think we'd make it detachable, because I don't want him in the movie just all the time having his schlong hanging up. It could be a perk. So like for X amount of money, you could actually own the one-of-a-kind Master Zog penis. But then I'm thinking, poor Master Zog, like his penis is off into the world. I don't know. We'll have to think about this. So tune into future episodes, and we'll talk more about what's going on with the penis. Puppets have dicks. We have a real divide here. Me and Deft are thinking no on the penis, but Tara, AJ, and Shannon, I think we're outvoted, are yes on the dick. I'll have to post on our Facebook group. So yeah, I'm old, so I have the Facebook group. Without Your Head it's Without Your Head on Facebook. It's a pretty active group. But I've been using Instagram more and X. I try to venture out into the world, and of course I'm on Friendster, and the MySpace is really popping. But no, I'm not really on those. But I am on MySpace, but I don't know how to log in anymore. But primarily the Facebook group, but I understand that's kind of like the dodo bird. So I am also pretty active on Instagram, which this is live. This is live on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We got Madison here on the Facebook. It is easier, and I appreciate you watching wherever. We're also on Kick and Twitch. Wherever you're watching, that's great. But it does help me more if you actually venture over to the YouTube, which I know I should promote more. But anyway, no one needs to know all that. So I'm going to go into the interview here. So Mike Wiluan, Monster Island. This is a real fun, classic man in body suit monster movie. And I mean that in a great way. It's just, it's not CG. It's not motion capture, which motion capture can be cool. CG, you have to really be good at it. As I think I talked in the interview, even bad practical effects has a charm to it. Like I grew up anyway. I think most people, well, I don't know, maybe some of these youngsters grew up with CG, but so even stuff that maybe not necessarily looks that great, it's fun because it's there, the physicality is there, the weight is there. Where I think bad CG, just looks bad. And it also doesn't age well, because like stuff that I thought looked pretty good or pretty decent, 20 years later looks very bad. Even like the prequels of the Star Wars movies, which I was never a big fan of, but they look cool. If you watch them today, the CG's, very, very poor. It really takes you out of the movie. You could tell everyone's just like on a green screen set. I mean, maybe people will disagree, but I think, like Basket Case, that looks great. But so anyway, this is a classic. This is a guy in a bodysuit, like a throwback to a Creature from the Black Lagoon, on an island. Similar setup to the movie Enemy Mine, if you've ever seen that, where it's two warring aliens, like the human and the alien. They land on a planet, kind of forced to eventually work together, become friends to battle the stuff that's going on that planet. Similar setup here, World War II. You've got a prisoner of war from England, a Japanese, also a prisoner. He's like sent to the brig. they crash on an island. They're not alone. There's the monster on the island. So these two people that have the language barrier, they're forced to work together to survive. It's a really cool movie. I liked it a lot. It's now streaming on Shudder. So here we go. We're going to get to my interview with Mike Wiluan, Singapore filmmaker. The movie's in so the movie, if you watch on Shudder, it's like all the English guy is in English, and then all the Japanese characters are in Japanese, so it's kind of split, which also works in the movie because there is a language barrier between the characters that they have to battle with to fight the monster. So here we're gonna go in the interview, then I'll be back, and I'm gonna go over some new trailers this week, and then I'll probably get out of here. So here we go. Hit the like button, subscribe. And if you would like to become a member, help support the channel, starts only $3 a month. You can do the $10 one and get IMDb credit as a producer. But you don't have to do that. But you do have to like and subscribe. That's free. There's no excuse there. All right, here we go. Mike Wiluan. Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal, and I'm joined by Mike Wiluan of Monster Island. Good to have you here.
Good to have you, Neil. I mean, you're the first person that's interviewed me that said my name right.
No, I cheated. I listened beforehand. I was like, I like to try to get people's name right.
So well done. That was great.
So we're not just here to talk about your last name. For people who don't know about Monster Island yet, could you give them an idea of what it's about?
So Monster Island, it's the story set in World War II. It's about prisoners of war, two prisoners of war, one Japanese and one from England. They shipped back to Japan by what was dubbed as the hell ships, right? And these hell ships were cargo ships that were, floating prisons that were being brought back to Japan. And their ship is so the commander is sort of like upset that on board his ship he has this traitor called Saito who disobeyed orders and killed his commanding officer. So he's really unsettled that he's on the ship, and he's in the night before there was a soldier called Bronson, an English soldier who tried to escape. So he decides to play a game by shackling them both together to kind of teach them a lesson that, who's the real enemy, and sort of like, with the hope that they'll do gladiatorial combat, and, who's gonna come out of this. But, in the nick of time, the Allies attack the ship. Tragically, obviously, a lot of Allies die in that. And that's really what happened in World War II as well. Because these ships weren't marked, and the Bronson and Saito escape. They land the sea, they get to this island, and they really kind of pummel the hell out of each other because it's life or death. They're shackled, and they nearly try to kill each other until they realize that there is another creature on the island that is hunting them. And so they kind of figure it out that it's probably better to work together than, be single by yourself doing this, because they're facing the unknown. And as they're trying to figure this out, the creature comes in and, attacks them, but also the other survivors that are washing up on the beach from the shipwreck. And so they go deeper into the jungle, trying to escape the creature, and they find its lair, and they realize that the creature is actually a mother who's protecting her child, unborn child. And it's sort of like a moral dilemma. I mean, do you kill the child and, end this bloodline and finish this creature to extinction, or is it going to get more mad? Do you just leave it? Because this whole subplot of this film is about humanity. Really, is about tragic. It's about what happens in wars. Mankind, how destructive mankind could be, but also it's about Mother Nature, and it's about some elements of moralities, friendship forgiveness, and so kind of all roll into one in this subplot, and yeah, so they have to make these decisions, and that's kind of, I don't know how far I should go, because I don't know if it's just giving spoilers. So that's kind of right what is about, essentially.
Yeah. And was the creature itself, is that inspired or based on any like a real legend or mythology?
Well, the Malay mythology of the fishman, the creature, is more vague in this part of the world. Obviously, in the West, I mean, you have a lot of more, I would say, mainstream interpretation from, Creature, Black Lagoon, Gilman, to Guillermo del Toro's films, Hellboy, Shape of Water. I mean, you have a very strong interpretation of a visual interpretation of it. But here in this side of Southeast Asia, there's a lot of stories, right? But there hasn't been a visual translation of that. I think most recently there's been, when I was researching, there was a lot of kind of really detailed documentation about how Japanese soldiers on the islands of Indonesia, discovered the sea creature, that the fishermen had brought up. And it was, humanoid, but obviously wasn't a real, wasn't human. But, before that, they were able to preserve the creature or take pictures. It just decomposed. And there were a lot of witnesses and, write-ups, and even the locals just said, look, once in a while they would catch the sea creature, half man, half fish, in the waters. And hundreds of years ago, Southeast Asia was sort of like a huge network of, exploration for the West, for Eastern pirates, and especially in this area, you'd find a lot of these what we call dugongs, which is sort of like sea mammals. We call them sea cows. So they're very like slow moving creatures, but and they're very docile. They eat grass, and they just sort of like swim along, and from the top they look like people. They look like, and so that's a lot of people through time have been confused, dugongs and people, and yeah, so that's that whole area. But the folklore itself is not as it was the lesser of the known Malay folklores, and this is why I decided to choose that, because so many of the folklores have now come onto screen, and most of them are spiritual phenomenon, right? Most of them are. And
I was gonna bring that up because, like, your monster, it's not really supernatural. It's like an actual. It's not even really. It's a monster to us, but it could be an animal.
Yeah. It's it's definitely. I definitely wanted to put it within the realm of, Mother Nature's undiscovered, secret, right? I mean, if an island harbors a life force that has been there for eternity, right, that just hasn't been discovered. I mean, we can't assume that we've discovered every living being on the planet. I mean, I think scientists are still discovering new species, and places that humans have not treaded. And so this is the idea of it. And within World War II, within the expanse of World War II, in the Pacific, whether it's Atlantic, Pacific, far-flung places in Africa and Asia, soldiers are going to go to places that no one else has been, and they're going to discover all kinds of things. So it was that kind of backdrop that we were putting that up against.
And so when you're putting like the whole thing together, do you think more about the mythology, or were you just like, we want this to be kind of vague and up to interpretation, like what this is? And because you don't really explain, a lot about it.
No, I think, and because the mythology was less known, Neil. So right, and so we didn't want to assume that that we needed to spend time, to kind of delve into its backstory, because that's like another movie altogether. Right? And
there is a lot of similarities to Creature from the Black Lagoon, because it's really that's made in 1954, but it's people coming, and really they're invading its land. It's just defending its territory.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the big inspiration. I mean, I've been inspired by a lot of these films, and the messaging is very much similar, just sort of like set in a slightly more different time, obviously, and set in a time where you add a lot of tragedy in the background with war. Guys that have been to war, have suffered, have trauma, they're stuck in a situation, and they got to deal with it, as opposed to a couple of guys or a family going on holiday to an island and discovering that they should have brought another suitcase along with some weapons or something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just framing it in another perspective.
Where did you film it? Did you film it on an island somewhere? Because it really feels, does it feel like something you made? It feels like a real place.
Yeah, I mean, so when we were looking at the pre-production, it was definite that we wanted to go to an actual, because we're based in Indonesia, and we thought Indonesia has 17,000 islands, right? I'm sure we could find a few good places to shoot this. But also we were like on a budget, and we felt, okay, maybe we could shoot this on a soundstage too, like all the smaller parts, right? And so we shot the boat, all the opening sequences in the soundstage, or anything with the ships, interiors. We shot that, we built that all, and then we try to look for a place that had all the beaches and the jungles, and Indonesia has tons of them. But the problem is that logistically getting to these places, because some of them don't even have roads going there. And, you're talking about a film crew of 150 people plus, you got equipment, you got generators, you got everything. And so we decided the south of Java, Pelabuhan Ratu, Sawarna is like a place where we could still drive a couple of hours, like quite a few hours out, but is really out in the sticks. And yeah, there's sometimes there's no phone reception. There's the treks into the rivers, the caves are all one way. I mean, there's no shortcut, right? I mean, to go down those rivers, to go down certain places, you're talking about walking, an hour and a half to the set. And that's just walking there, doing the work, got to be out by 5 before the sun goes down, because, no one can find anyone in the river anymore at night. And then if it rains, it floods. So you got to get out, and, so we're it was quite harrowing, right? So yeah, I mean, we were really only able to do it because the Indonesian crew was so hardy. I mean, they were like, goats jumping from, rock to rock and climbing, and they're fantastic. Yeah.
Any hard, like, not monsters, but it was insects, anything that, besides just the idea of having to travel miles away, like mosquitoes, leeches, anything like that?
Oh yeah, I mean, mosquitoes are just your friends, just on the side, right? I mean, they're always there, just as annoying as they are. But it's when you go deeper into the jungle, when there's not a lot of humanity, the mosquitoes tend to sort of like die away. Actually, they're not around, because other worse things, obviously, that come. So leeches were the worst, because I mean, we were in that river, and I was wearing this wetsuit throughout, and the water's cold, it's up to your chest, the equipment's all sort of like precariously dangling on rocks, and there's no other space that you could be but in that river. And everyone had time, like my actors had time to get out the river, in and out on the sides, but I was actually in there for like I don't know, 12 hours at a time. And I came, and I was just feeling really faint, and I was like, what's wrong, and it's only when I got back, I took my wetsuit off, and it was just filled with blood, because I had like 8 leeches on me inside, which somehow had crawled into my wetsuit and had been sucking the blood in the worst places. And
not this is any good places, but yeah, there's worse places than others.
Yeah. And then and then we had snakes. We had, I mean, snakes we see a lot, is that you just don't want to encounter a certain kind of colorful tree state,
Yeah,
which is like
or
very
scare them, right?
rare. But yeah, definitely scorpions. That's another thing that we had to deal with. And worse is the centipede, because tons of centipedes and they crawl into your backpack and up your leg, and you just don't know, they're there until they bite. And the bite of the centipede is excruciating. So these are things that we have to kind of deal with. And when you live in Indonesia, you kind of get used to things. You know how to sort of like sort things out with the insects. And I was particularly proud of the actors. We had Dean Fujioka, who came from Tokyo, and Callum from London, and Max, he was right from LA, right? And so he had to play the creature. So it was these guys had to suffer, right? I mean, it was sort of like trying to get used to the humidity, the temperature, the food, the environment. So they were suffering more than I did, I think. Yeah.
Look, it comes through in the movie. It works for the movie. So
yeah, help build character. Yeah,
yeah, that's what you tell the actor. Yeah. So, and since it's primarily the two guys and the monster, you have to make sure that you have two good actors, and they're great in the movie. Were they both anybody you knew beforehand? Were they hard to cast?
I didn't actually know the chaps beforehand. I mean, they're all. I mean, this industry is the 6 degrees of separation, right? I mean, even tighter than that, because someone who knows someone knows someone. I didn't do open casting. I didn't go to a casting agent and say, look, I'm looking, for this kind of group of people. So someone put us in touch with Dean, and Dean had filmed in Indonesia before. So he spoke beautiful, fluent, both Japanese, English, and a bit of Bahasa as well. So I just felt that, he practically it was going to be much easier dealing with my main actor, being able to speak, 2 out of the 3 languages with him, and so Callum, I had never met Callum, but we had some friends who introduced us, and he was working on a show in UK, and we talked, and I thought he'd be great, and so he came over, and then Max was an introduction to by Alan Holt, and he was a creature, he created the suit, and had worked with Max before. I just needed someone who had the experience with the animatronics, the patience of understanding what it takes to get in the suit and to perform, and I needed a big person, right? And because I needed someone who was at least 6'3", 6'4", and so yeah,
Why
and that's
not too bulky either at the same time?
Yeah, not massive, not so big that you just can't walk, right? But this suit was a nightmare in itself, because it's so hot. It's like 35, 36 degrees Celsius, right? And then humidity is 100%. He had to get in that suit. It'll take him, on a good day, it'll take him 45 minutes to get in this suit. On a longer day, it might be 2 hours. Get in the suit, get hydrated to the point where he's sort of like really just acclimatized. But in that suit, there is this water system where it's very similar to F1 drivers, that have this sort of like cool water that's pumping through. So we had this little water system that was injected through tubes that circulate the body, and they're connected to ice water. And that helped bring his body temperature down, because when we were doing action scenes in the cave, I mean, the cave was another thing, because that cave has no oxygen in it, and we had to pump oxygen in the cave. And when there's so many people in the cave, and that cave just sucks everything out, you can't. You start getting lightheaded. You start having,
yeah, it's probably worse. A guy in a big suit, yeah.
And so here he is in a suit. Can't see anything, can't hear anything, can't breathe, so hot, and he's in a cave, and he has to fight. So it was he was really having the short end of the stick there. But I just take my hat off to him. He was, we all had a laugh every
Yeah,
take.
and you mentioned 6 degrees of separation. So I have some friends who know Alan, and so anyway, he's going to be on the show in August. Talk about the movie and his career. So I'm looking forward to that.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
yeah, Alan's a great guy. I mean, we worked with him before on Skyline and the Alien movie, and I just sort of like said, Alan, I need to get this suit done, but how are you going to do it? He's like, and he took me to his workshop in LA, and it was just fantastic. So he's, and he did the crocodile, some close-ups of the crocodile head as well, and that was just beautiful. He did that as well.
Is there a real crocodile in the movie? Is it a crocodile or an alligator in the movie?
Yeah, it's a real saltwater crocodile, and yeah, I mean, the story behind it is like, I mean, I went to choose the crocodile because I said, look, you need really big crocodile. We need a monster. We need something that would visually be quite scary. And someone brought me to a farm this farm sort of like took care of these crocodiles, and some of them had sort of like wandered off from the river into the village. So they take them off and they sort of like take care of them in this sort of like pen, this farm. So I went there and chose the biggest one. He happened to be the most aggressive crocodile. So everyone's like, oh, this guy is quite a beast. He was like, he was like he was I don't know how many meters he was. No, he was definitely 5 meters. He was huge. He was huge, and he was like really wide, big jaws. Anyway, we couldn't get permission. The police came and they said, look, if you can't take this creature into the river where you're filming, because if he escapes,
yeah, I'm gonna get back.
That's it. We can't. We can't predict the future, and the future doesn't look good with this guy, in that river. So they said, look, go make a slightly smaller one. And so there was sort of like a difference of about like, that much to the smaller one. And it's like, I think maybe he's all right. And I was like, what's the difference between these things? Anyway, we chose a slightly smaller one. And, he happened to be a bit more docile. And, we had a team of what we call crocodile wranglers, right? I mean, there's a wrangler for every single animal and insect in Indonesia. If you want to have a wrangler for anything dangerous, there's a group of guys who don't wear gloves, who don't wear safety things, and they sort of like, they're whisperers, right? They whisper to the centipede, they whisper to I didn't have the leech whisperers, unfortunately. They just attacked me.
We need some next time.
Yeah, next time I will. But yeah, we got those guys who got the crocodile in, and Callum was great. He was like, so Mike, am I gonna do this for real? And I was like, yeah, you're gonna do it for real. And he thought I was joking. He thought it would be a CG crocodile because we had a close-up of the head. Alan did the head. Beautiful. It was beautiful. So, and the reason why we try to find the crocodile, because we want to match it to the head. And he made this giant head that was, I couldn't use the body. I could only use it for very tight shots. So Callum came on and he didn't realize that crocodile was going to be there. That saltwater crocodile was huge. It was this guy lying there, and he lay next to that thing, and it was just docile. There were a couple of guys nearby in the bushes with some rope, and that he was, for a moment he was like, it's not breathing, and so that worked out just right, but yeah, we did use the real crocodile here from Indonesia. Yeah.
Well, I'm a big fan of your movie. I love creature feature movies. I had mentioned before we recorded here with the person who set this up. I had Ben Chapman, who played Creature from Black Lagoon 1954 on the show years ago. And it's also a great story, and you care about the characters, so it's kind of like the best of everything here. And do you have any personal favorite creature features, like a movie, like a monster movie?
I mean, I've been a fan of Godzilla for God knows, right? I mean, since I was a kid, growing up. But the -1 was probably
that was so amazing to see in the theater.
Yeah, I mean, you need to see it because it's like the effects are really good. But to be honest, like the most, I mean, for me, my favorite single sort of like creature humanoid would have been the predator, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
you can see that influence in in the film with how it sort of like the noise, although obviously ours is different, but it's just some of the styles. You know, thinking about these creatures as sort of like warriors of their own kind, right?
Hmm.
And although Predator obviously has a slightly different approach, but it's Predator, the original Predator was one of my favorite films, and that again was a practical.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of practical effects because not a lot of films today are done in a practical way. A lot of it is CG, and I think a lot of actors are now used to it completely. I mean, they just know how to deal with it, but also everything depends on what happens later in post. You're looking at previs, but you've got an acting green man or motion capture or whatever, but I wasn't comfortable in doing it because I just didn't know anything could go wrong later down the line, and you just want to know what you have in the can, right? Just do it the old-fashioned way, and and as long as you have great craftsmanship, and we did film it in such a certain way. Of course, not all the shots worked. It was a lot of trial and error. I mean, there was tons of trial and error, but that's I'm a big fan of the practical effects.
Yeah, me too. I've been posting on social media about the movie, saying it's a classic man in monster suit, man in suit monster movie, and I mean that in a great way because that's the kind of stuff that I love, and I think
Yeah,
that ages better. I do think even stuff that looked really good that was CG, a lot of it does not age well.
that's the thing. That's the thing. So there's been a couple of movies that I watch these. I watch these movies with my kids, right? And
Hmm.
and my kids now, they're like teenagers. They say, "Oh, that sucks. That CGI sucks." Blah, blah, blah. And so yeah, you're right. It doesn't age well, right? And something that we thought was pretty good in the 2000s, like the early 2000s, and
Yeah, it does
was
not look. Yeah, yeah.
when you look at it today and you're like, no way, that's not. I mean, yeah, I could believe it, but I mean, now the kids are just like,
Yeah,
nah.
and I think even stuff that's not necessarily great, I'll say, and some stuff that's kind of bad practical effects, it has a charm to it, and still, for
Yeah,
me anyway, where I think bad CG or outdated CG just looks bad.
yeah, no, that definitely. I mean, so that's right. Is the aging doesn't work. The practical stuff has a charm to it, and there's been a ton of movies that with whether it's stop motion, whether they're using stop motion or some more details, but yeah, I mean those are for me the most impressive. Yeah.
So, will you ever do a sequel?
Would I ever do a sequel? Okay, wait, let me just okay. Yeah, I mean, I think if the opportunity came, like when we're making these movies, I mean, there's always this discussion with actors. Like, I mean, I think the big joke in the movie that like the discussion about a sequel always happens when you're making a movie and someone dies, right? Like a main character dies.
Right, right.
And one main character will always come to you, and this happened in many of my movies. They come to you and go, dude, if you're gonna do another one, can you just do a prequel? Because I'm dead, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So we always have this joke, but that kind of evolves. And in the back of my mind, it's always you always have to think about this story that could continue on in a different era, in a different moment, with different people, different situation. And if your story here is just this moment in time, this moment in time this happened, and the situation has been there forever, you could find more moments in time, obviously. And so would I do it again? Yes, I would, but I've learned so many hard lessons on this film. I mean, it was my first creature film. Shooting in the wild like that. I mean, I'm used to shooting in the studio, and on different types of shows, but you kind of, I would approach it in a very, very, you sort of like much more learned, more experience, and doing things that would hopefully elevate the potential of the creature more, the story and all that. So short answer is yes, I would do it, but definitely need like a long preparation. If I need to go back to the island again, I gotta find that leech whisperer, so
don't bring me back to the island. Yeah, I like that. But yeah, there's a lot of different things you could do. Obviously, you could more backstory of the thing. I like the idea of different eras. It could be kind of an aliens where you see more of them as opposed to the original alien where there's one. So a lot of different things you could do.
Yeah. I mean, it just depends on the feedback and the audience and my partners, Shudder, and I mean, they need to. Everyone needs to feel that. Look, this is everyone's had fun on this. Okay, of course you're gonna get people who are like, oh, this is not great. I don't like it.
Yeah, I heard this internet can be a negative place. So.
Yeah, obviously, no matter how good, whatever you're trying to do, it's the negative space that you try. Obviously, you got to listen to some of that in terms of practical. There's some practical advice,
sure,
which is important, right? And then you just carry on, right? You just carry on. You can't be affected by it. And then, but yeah, that there is a world where a number 2 exists. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Maybe you could come along with me, Neil, and stuff up.
I will back you up. Tell him Nasty Neal says to do it. And I don't know if anyone listens, but you can tell him anyway. But Monster Island's on Shudder. I thought it was awesome, honestly. Not just as you're here, it's my kind of movie. I like monster movies, and it's a good movie too. There's a lot of stuff going on there. There's some stuff I didn't want to spoil that I enjoyed quite a bit. And where can people follow you to see what you're up to online, not back to your home?
That's a bit creepy. But yeah, I mean, I've got Instagram. You can look me up there. And I keep forgetting to post what I'm doing. It's like even when I'm doing my project, whatever, and someone's like, look, you got to tell people what you're doing. So yeah, it's probably my Instagram is probably the best, like Mike's Infinite Life. That's probably the best way to follow. But yeah, that's the handle.
All right, very good. All right, well, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
No, thanks very much, Neil. I really appreciate it. It's been a real honor to be invited to speak with you. And yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed the movie. And
I've been telling my friends to check it out.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Right.
Appreciate
Thanks.
that. All right, take care. All right, bye.
Bye. Hey, why am I so little here? What's going on? Ah, there we go. All right, I'm back here. Mike Wiluan, really cool movie. Not just because he was here, but yeah, I dug it a lot. Another person that's going to be coming up, actually, it would probably be a live interview here on Horror Daily Horror on Without Your Head, is my friend Mike Devlin, who has these movies out, Fallacies and Analogies. So Fallacies is a bunch of penis-themed films in an anthology. There's a theme running here. So maybe we could get maybe I could do a Master Zog, one of these. And then Analogies is a bunch of butthole themed. It's like Creep Show, but about buttholes, basically. Great interview. Thank you, Shannon. Terrible Troy. Anytime you want to hop on one of these two, Troy, I'll send you the link. Just let me know. All right, so we're gonna play some trailers here I didn't get to on the show this week. If you ever want us to play your independent film trailers, just email them to me at withoutyourhead@gmail.com. Or text, or you can on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, you can message me on there as well. But it's probably best to email me at withoutyourhead. Yes, it is very interesting. His next one's going to be a foot fetish one, which I'm not saying that's bad or good or whatever, but it does seem like a step down. When he started like, bam, the penis anthology, bam, the butthole anthology. Then you go to the foot fetish. It's kind of like, Whoop. But though, if you're putting together a mixtape, it can't just be high, because then where do you go from there? You gotta have ebbs and flows. So, penis, boom, butthole, wow, foot fetish, we start to come down here. So I don't know where you go from there. We'll find out in the John Devlin verse. All right, let's get to these. We are going to get to these trailers. All right. First up, which is better? I like weird down there. I think I like this better. First up is Solvent, which is directed by my friend Johannes, and it was produced by this guy, Nasty Neal. And we may have some big news about Solvent coming up soon. Here is the newest trailer for Solvent.
Helmet cam on, LiDAR autofocus works, sound?
Our family really wants to know what is behind the secrets around my grandfather's past, and we want to help reveal whatever he probably is.
An error occurred is the next one, apparently. Let's see. So that was Solvent. Solvent's a great film. Like I said, I produced it, directed by Johannes Grintfatna. And this next one is Occupy Con, which had its premiere at Fantasia Fest just the other night. And I have an interview with Lloyd Kaufman, his daughter Lily, and Catherine Caricon from the Terrifier, from the original Terrifier, and she's also part of this documentary. I will say I'll be playing that very soon. It gets heated, I'll have to say, my interview with Lloyd. But here we go. Here is Occupy Con, which I thought is an amazing documentary.
The Cannes Film Festival is a big market. We've been there since 1971.
We're not big stars, so we have to find some way to get the attention. Dance and sing and march along
James
the closet.
Gunn.
And this is the way that Troma is able to compete with a huge company.
Just real quick, James Gunn there, which is very, not only, it's cool. Look, James Gunn worked for Troma, but James Gunn, obviously, his time with Troma means a lot to him because Lloyd always has a cameo in his films. He had a cameo in the New Superman, Guardians of the Galaxy. So I think that's cool that James Gunn still remembers his Troma roots.
Troma is the oldest independent movie studio. 50 years. We have lots of volunteers who come and make noise so that buyers will license our movies.
The Troma group back in 2001, 2002 were raging alcoholic lunatics who hadn't got their shit together.
I think going out this time, Troma's kind of revamped itself a little bit. The team involved takes it much more seriously.
The Troma team is working to occupy time.
We're trying to get the attention of buyers with our picket signs and everything else, promoting our movie. Guerrilla marketing.
Come to the arcade cinema, world premiere, return to Nukamai. Troma! Oh, we can't even have signs here. Who needs to sell movies anyway?
You're stopped twice by the police on the way over here.
Okay, after we get you in the Jeep.
Hey, je suis venu ici depuis 71. C'est un festival. Put me in jail.
I would think that these guys walking around with machine guns are a little scarier than Troma.
Broken, we're finished. Might be this is the last year it
can for Trauma.
There's no doubt that Trauma's antics and like Trauma's strategy is wise and is really like making a statement.
Thank you, Ken. I hope you all get laid.
Let me check some here. Anyway, Occupy Con is really great documentary. I highly recommend it. Just have a little technical difficulties, but we'll be right back here. I think we got it fixed here. Occupy Con's really great documentary. As I said, my interview with Lloyd got heated. I will say, full disclosure, I emailed him afterwards. I emailed him last night, and we talked today, and everything is cool with me and Lloyd. But in the interview, not so much. But hey, it's interesting. It's interesting. All right, let's see here. Return of the Corn Zombies. I have not seen this trailer yet, so let's check out Return of the Corn Zombies.
This may be the last time I'm able to report as to what is happening. The National Guard came through here a few hours ago and advised us of a large group of the dead heading this way. I will continue to report to you as long as I can, but as of now, it appears we'll be bugging out in a few hours. The world, as we know it, is over. This is Steve Romeo signing off.
Was that Dan Severin? It wasn't like Dan Severin a few minutes ago. Return of the Corn Zombies. All right. I'm into this. Return of the Corn Zombies. You can subscribe to those folks. Occupy Cons we just watched. What's next, buddies? All right. Oh, Seminium. So I'm going to have some interviews from this coming up. I've not really watched the trailer yet myself.
I saw you're now hiring someone up front, looking for a job, and
Chloe Levine from The
This
Ranger.
position has been a bit of a nightmare to fill. We call it our sleep sitter. Sleep sitter?
Anyone ever wants on the show, email me withoutyourhead@gmail.com and we will see you out.
Good evening, and welcome to Somnia. We understand this process might feel uncomfortable, but rest assured, our team of professionals have you well on your way to a beautiful transformation.
Now this looks really cool. I've not watched the trailer, so I'm kind of sitting here watching it.
Relax into a sleeping position and allow us to make your wildest dreams come true. Welcome to Somnia.
Somnium. All right. I'm into it. I'm interested. I believe I'll be interviewing the director soon here on the show. Why is this one not working? Here we go. Oh, this is the new Silent Night, Deadly Night. I'm a big fan of the original.
One film shocked audiences, was banned from theaters, and traumatized a generation. From the studio that brought
I'm
you
a lot of good
Terrifier
people.
3
Screenbox.
comes a new
Bloody
and unrated
disgusting.
vision of the cult classic.
I know we have a ton of remakes. I'm not against the idea of remakes and against like uninspired remakes, but I have to say this one looks really good.
Deadly Night.
Damn. Yeah, that one looks sweet. All right. Yeah, I am down for that. Like I said, so maybe you not have heard me, but so yeah, obviously they make a ton of remakes and a lot of them are like, useless. But I'm never against like the whole idea of like never make a remake, because if it wasn't for remakes, we wouldn't have John Carpenter's The Thing. When had the Blob remake, actually, I think is a really overlooked movie. Cape Fear. I mean, there's a lot of good. Honestly, the remake of Night of the Living Dead, the Savini one's very good. We have a plethora of ones that are, pretty much, just useless movies. But that one looks good, and I am a big fan of the original. I know our friend Todd on the Facebook was saying he doesn't know why people like the original. I think the original one's great. It's just the poster alone, I think, is awesome. I think that's overlooked a little bit today because, like, back then, to put like a poster out where Santa Claus is like a killer, his hand coming out of the chimney, it's like that's pretty badass, honestly. And even though I grew up watching Siskel and Ebert, I get a kick out of them getting like so offended by horror movies. Now, it's a weird relationship I have with them because I watch them all the time and I didn't always agree with them, and sometimes they got really mad about horror movies to like a crazy degree. But at the same time, this was pre-internet. So a lot of the movies they used to talk about, I might not have known about at all if it wasn't for Siskel and Ebert. So I credit them a lot for, me getting to know these. And sometimes they'd have a movie on and like their reason enough for liking it would be like, oh, I'll probably like this movie. But they would get really weird about like slasher movies. And Silent Night, Deadly Night, I believe they like went on their show and gave out like the producers like addresses. They were like doxing before doxing was a term. And then there's a real classic, if you watch they would really go hard on the slasher movies. And I remember them talking about, it was Friday the 13th Part 4. And Ebert's like almost in tears. He's just like, this is what kids will think life is all about. And I'm thinking, dude, like, I enjoy all those movies, but I'm not watching Friday the 13th Part 4 and thinking, this is life. I'm going to grow up, and hunt Jason, and I'm going to be killed by Jason Voorhees, and this is what I want in my life. I mean, you'd have to be like a blithering idiot to think Friday 13th Part 4 is like reality. Like, this is what life's all about. But it's actually kind of funny to me that they would get so worked up. But at the same time, they would Ebert like championed Rob Zombie's Devil's Rejects, and I think Last House on the Left. That's a really dark movie. So I mean, and movies like I Love This Not Horror or anything but Dark City. I guess it's kind of horror, but like what I'm saying is, it's a mixed bag there. I think when I see people just totally hate Siskel and Ebert, I'm like, well, they really were important back in the day when we didn't have the internet and we didn't have access to know about, like, we would see trailers for all these big movies, but we wouldn't know about a lot of these smaller movies. Not all horror, but just independent film. There was one more I thought I had on here. Together. Let me grab it. Together plays. It's playing now. A new body horror film. I think it's from Neon. I was emailed about it. I thought we were going to have somebody on, but we never did. But that's fine. But it does look cool. Let me show the trailer. A little bigger movie than the stuff we were showing here. Independent. This was something I wanted to talk to Lloyd, but I didn't. Things went. Anyway, you guys will find out. But the idea of independent film, it's a really like broad term because it's like independent film could be something that I made, with some friends for $500, or most independent films that we talked about on the show is stuff that like people I know made for probably 50 grand or less. Maybe some of them a few $100,000 for like some of the stuff that's on Shudder. But then like you get to Neon, a little bit higher, and then A24, which is still like considered independent, but a lot of their stuff's like $10 million. And obviously that's not the same as an MCU movie. It's like 300 million or something, but it's like, yeah, independent. What does that really mean? This guy made this movie for 10 grand. This guy made this movie for 10 million. They might both be independent, but are they really on the same level? I don't know. But anyway, Together, new body horror movie. It opened yesterday, and here is the trailer. These guys, for this movie, they've done some fun stuff. They did a thing like if you propose to your your significant other in the theater while watching it. They may pay for your wedding. I saw they made like sweaters, hoodies made for two. So it's like, two people in the hoodie, two hoodies, each one arm out on the other side. All right, I'm sold. It's a little bigger, like budget or whatever than movies that we normally talk a lot about on the show. But I mean, I like all different movies, so I don't want to say it's a bad thing. But yeah, I'm into it. I would like to check this out. Hey, Hannah Fearman's watching on Instagram. We should get her on the show. All right, yeah, it looks great. I agree, Shannon. I am into it. I'm trying to get Troy to maybe me and Troy will go see it. We'll do a review. We tried to do a review of Fantastic Four, but where we were at, the internet kept crapping out. But Troy and I will definitely be doing more live movie reviews out and about in the world over whatever, Hyannis, sandwich, whatever. Anyway, there we go. So that's going to be it for the first episode of Daily Horror here on Without Your Head with Nasty Neal. I will be doing another one tomorrow. I'm not sure who yet. I've got a lot of cool interviews. Probably someone from Fantasia Film Fest. But coming up, Lloyd Kaufman, Lily Hayes Kaufman, Crispin Glover here on Daily Horror. An amazing interview. I'll be honest, we were supposed to go 15 minutes. We went about 45, and a big props to the PR people. They let it go long because they know it's really going really well. They had to, step in at some point. So we need to end it because there's other people like waiting. I was like, all right. But yeah, they really put it over. He really put it over. Some people warned me about Crispin. I have nothing but great things to say. Really interesting guy, very nice guy. Sure, he's a little weird, but I'm a little weird, and everyone listening to the show is a little weird. So I think you'll really enjoy the Crispin Glover interview. Ginger Lynn, I did an interview with her, a legendary adult film star, about her new film, kind of this weird horror movie she's in. It was very cool. Just a bunch of cool folks coming up. And then we'll be doing some live ones. Actually, the Monster Island movie. We're going to be having the guy who played the creature on the show. He'll be doing a live show in August. And not only did he play the creature in Monster Island, he played King Ghidorah in Godzilla, King of All Monsters. He's played the Ginger Dead Man. He's played maybe Killer Bong or the Ginger Weed Man, I think. He actually he was Blade, from the Puppet Master movies, in one of those movies. He's done a lot of really cool creature work for like pretty big stuff, and smaller stuff. So that's going to be a really fun interview. I'm looking forward to that. Seems like a really good guy, Alan Maxon. So that'll be fun. Yeah. Glover is great. Oh, cool. Yeah. Hannah was, I had her set up one other time, but I'm going to be doing more interviews because I just enjoy doing them. I like live streaming. So I'm going to try to pop on, it's daily-ish. I'll try to pop on every day. Obviously, sometimes I won't be able to. All right. So yeah, email me for cool trailers. If you have like a campaign or movie, a festival you want to plug, I'm very approachable. So email with me withoutyourhead@gmail.com. If I don't get back to you right away, just remind me, because sometimes if I don't get back right away, I do forget. And that's just my own fault, but it's nothing personal. I just sometimes forget to get back to people. So just keep on me and it'll all work out. All right. So we're going to play us out with The Tomb of Nick Cage, which they will be doing a song, probably the theme song for Arbor Day, which I'm very excited about. So actually a couple new additions to Arbor Day. AJ Cutler will be taking the role of Riley in Arbor Day, which it's been moved around a lot, but we're planning on filming this fall. And as a lot of folks know, Annabelle's dropped out of the show, out of Arbor Day. So she was going to play the lead villain, Lunadette Swede, the leader of the cult of Arbor. So we have filled the role. And another good friend of ours and new co-host on the show, longtime friend, Tara Hutchinson, will be playing Lunadette Swede in Arbor Day. She will be playing the witch, the leader of the cult of Arbor. Tara, really cool. She's very fun. She loves puppet penises, apparently, but she helps run New Village Video, which is a great platform, but for a lot of weird underground grindhouse films. She's starting her own magazine, Grind Queen zine. She does, alt fashion and photo shoots. Just a cool all-around person and a lot of underground weird stuff. So she's going to be a perfect fit for Arbor Day. All right. Speaking of Arbor Day, I know I showed him earlier, but here he is. Here is the puppet head. This is Master Zog of Arbor Day. I'm very happy and very excited that originally said someone else was going to make the puppet. They dropped out. I was like, well, maybe I'll have a go. I was like, I have no idea how to make a puppet. But whoa, I am very happy. Look, I even made the eyes. He can squint. Some people say, well, he's not very scary, Nasty Neal. Well, he is not a villain in the movie. He's actually one of the people that helped Steve and the group fight the cult of Arbor, Master Zog. So there we go. He will be in Arbor Day, and he will be in another movie filming next year from a friend of mine. So that's very exciting. I don't know if he wants me to say it, but Master Zog will be appearing in 2 films next year. All right, so let me grab. I'm going to grab the full. I don't always play this. Let's play the full tune here. The original theme. This is not AI. This is a real band who made this. A real singer. Real people wrote it. The Tomb of Nick Cage made this song for Without Your Head here. Let's play it out. And until next time, thank you guys for joining me here at Without Your Head Daily Horror. Hit the like button, subscribe, share this out. Wherever you're watching this, please come to the YouTube page and subscribe. It's also the best way to chat. It's cool that people are watching on all the different platforms, Kick, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, but I can't always pop up your comments. So it's easiest to pop them up on the YouTube page. Just something to remember in the future. Hit the subscribe. That's free. Like is free. If you want to become a member and help support the channel, that's like $3 and up. That's not very much either, but I understand not everyone can do that. But you can like and subscribe, and I will appreciate that. So let's play us out the Tomb of Nick Cage and see us live Thursday. And daily is here on Without Your Head.